Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Brown Swanson, and welcome to Around the Peninsula. Today, I'm at the Cancer Support Community Redondo Beach, located at the Redondo Beach Pier. For 26 years, the Cancer Support Community has helped so many cancer patients and their families. They offer more than 150 free programs every month here, and is a special one for children. Here's more on all they do and how you can help. So I'll start from the beginning. I'll have you introduce yourself to the community, a little bit about what you do here at Cancer Support Community.
Well, I'm the program director, and that entails organizing all the programs, exercise, information, educational, social, all the events that complete our whole program. And I also supervise all the clinicians. They're all licensed psychotherapists.
More than 150 free programs that you offer cancer patients, their loved ones, every month. Highlight some of those.
We have groups that are called weekly support groups, and that's part of the 150 some programs. And those are groups that meet at the same time, in the same room, with the same people and the same facilitator every week. There are activities like yoga, like Tai Chi, Reiki. All of those mind-body exercise programs are facilitated by skilled professionals that have been teaching in the profession for a long time. And although those people donate their time to provide that service to us and to the people in the community, what's great is that if you're around people who are going through the cancer experience, that in itself creates hope and positive feelings about the possibilities with cancer.
And that's really important, I think, obviously, for anybody that's dealing with cancer, right? It's just that is to keep a positive attitude, which is not always easy.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that about positive attitudes, because they've done studies where people who have a positive attitude, it really helps. It helps engender more positivity. And another way we serve people is through our kids community program. And the Kids Community Program is a unique program of structured support groups that go for a period of time, maybe 6 or 8 weeks at a time, where children can get together and do activities, creative arts programs, exercise activities, experiential things, so that they begin to experience the support of other children.
Hi, I'm Teresa Plakos, and I work for Cancer Support Community Redondo Beach. I'm the Public Relations and Outreach Manager, and I've been here for a little over 3 years. My goal is just to get the word out about our free services to the community. I work with the media, and I work with our Professional Advisory Board, which is made up of doctors and oncologists, social workers, and medical professionals in the community who help us by referring patients to us. And I also work by doing health fairs and expos in the community, just anything that I can do to get the word out about us to the community.
What is the word that you like to get out? What is your message?
Basically, just that we are here for anybody who's affected by cancer. We offer over 150 free programs per month, and we have everything from support groups, which is the core of what we do, to networking groups, exercise programs, workshops where doctors come and speak, and everything's free. It's a wonderful resource for anybody who has cancer or who is affected by cancer.
My name is Kristen Conforti. I'm the Development Director at Cancer Support Community Redondo Beach. As the Development Director, I oversee all of our funding, and of course we're a nonprofit organization, an independent 501c3, and so all of our funding comes from grants and donations from the community, and of course our 5 events a year. So the need for these cancer patients is absolutely as dire as their medical services. A report in 2007, it was called the Institute of Medicine report, and it truly stated that psychosocial support is as important as chemotherapy and radiation.
All of the programs here that you offer, more than 150 a month, are free. Talking about just in terms of the financial implications of that.
It is amazing. We have one board member who came here originally with his wife who was struggling with breast cancer, and he's a guy that, realized nobody's asking me for a check. And so after his wife's treatment was over, he went to Judith and said, what can I do to pay this forward? And she sat down and explained to him everything that it takes to keep the doors open. I mean, we're a relatively small nonprofit. Our budget is under $1 million a year, just slightly. But at the same time, that's still a little under $1 million a year that we need to raise every single year. We're supported, of course, by the County of Los Angeles, which is wonderful, but we receive no other government funding. Boeing is very generous with us, along with several other large corporations in the area. The bulk of our donations come from the community and the amazing residents of the South Bay.
Okay, I'm now being joined by Ann Clary, not only a facilitator here, but a founding facilitator. You've been involved with this organization for nearly 27 years.
I was on the original steering committee before we opened for 2 years, and then when we finally opened, it was a huge celebration that we pulled it off, and it's amazing that we're still here all these years later.
In general, when people find out that they first have cancer, is sort of the reaction the same? I'm sure it's obviously frightening.
Yeah, it's very frightening. It's still very frightening. It used to be really terrifying, but it still is, actually. And so many people, when they're first diagnosed, really they start thinking about death, and that's where they go. And then they have to come back up from there and realize that, yes, wait a minute, not everybody dies when they get a cancer diagnosis. Lots of people survive. They go through a lot, but they do survive, and they can end up living many, many years post-cancer diagnosis.
You yourself here, you've been helping cancer patients and their families for 3 decades, basically. You yourself, just within a few years, had your own diagnosis regarding breast cancer. Can you share what happened with you?
I had all these years not had to deal with it, and then all of a sudden I went for a routine mammogram, and I got a call that I needed to come back and have a biopsy. And it was very disconcerting and very emotional, and and at that particular time I was facilitating a breast cancer support group, and I found out that I really had to drop out from that for a while I was going through this, because it was just too close to the bone.
The fact that you've now had to, walk what you've been talking, so to speak, has it changed how you're talking with people? Because, until you've experienced it, it must have changed how you now talk with people, I would think.
I would think I have more empathy and understanding now than I probably did before. People that are willing to come to a place like the cancer support community will be able to deal with this experience so much easier. So many people isolate when they are diagnosed, they withdraw, or they think their family's enough. But it turns out it's a burden to a family, and it's not good to isolate. And when people come and they share with other people, you can see them come to life, actually. It's a beautiful thing to watch. I'm very lucky that I get to experience that frequently.
I've been diagnosed with cancer about 6 years ago, and was lucky enough that all I had to have was surgery, removed all the cancer. I didn't have to have any chemo or radiation treatments or anything like that. Was followed for 5 years, and during those 5 years I continued to come here to the cancer support community and wellness group. I found a lot of help here, a lot of support from the other members, the people that share my cancer with me, from the coordinators, and all the people that have been here have been just marvelous. No ifs, ands, or buts. I would rather be here on Thursday afternoon than any place.
So you've been coming here for more than 5 years, you said?
More than 5 years.
When you first were diagnosed with cancer, did you come here right away? How did you find out about this?
I first found out about it when my sister was diagnosed with cancer over 10 years ago. And I came to the group for one of the informational meetings just to find out how I was going to have to learn to be a caregiver for someone with cancer. And then after she passed away, it was quite a few years later that I was diagnosed with cancer myself, so I knew right where to come.
Someone watching out there that might have just found out they have cancer, what is the best advice you can give them? Obviously, when you hear it, it's scary, but until you're dealing with it yourself, it's really hard to say.
It is a very big shock, even though you may know that there's something wrong with you. When you hear that big word cancer, it really is an awakener. And the one thing that I would say is that you are not alone. There is help out there for you. Look for it. I would say that this place has been one of the safest places for me to come and know that I can express my feelings, my deepest fears, what I'm going through, and look for help that maybe my own family cannot give me.
I was diagnosed in August of 2006 and was decided to have surgery and whatnot. And I was kind of waiting after surgery for chemo in January and February of 2007. And so I looked through some of my paperwork from the hospital and I found this place and I started coming here in November of 2006 and I haven't left yet.
And you brought your husband with you, and he was the caretaker.
Well, I started out in a family support group and kind of came along reluctantly in the beginning, not thinking that it was really for me, but it became very apparent that it was indeed for me. So I was in that group. During that time, unfortunately, I lost my mother to breast cancer, and my father died also. So having that support was just invaluable. I mean, it really. And then a few years ago, 2010, I was diagnosed with cancer. So we love this place. We're here all the time. One big thing I can tell you is we've learned not to take things personally. And that's huge advice that, really didn't make sense in the beginning, but the more I'm connected with this, the more I realize that it's true.
But I think that being scared is something that people deal with, and to try and get them from not doing that is important, because we're alive and well and happy. And, I am sorry that the both of us have cancer, but you wouldn't look at us and think that we have the lives that we do. And it's fulfilling. It's not changing that at all.
That's right.
You're both an inspiration.
But the thing that people need to realize, in my opinion, is that you're not alone. If the first time you get the cancer diagnosis, even within the family, you feel all of a sudden very lonely. Like nobody can understand where you're coming from. Like, what do I do next? And coming here, that just goes away. This is a family environment here. We're all here to support each other. Everyone here comes from different walks of life, different socioeconomic backgrounds. Doesn't matter. The level playing field is that we're all here to support and love each other because we share that common bond of cancer.
You volunteer here. Talk about the job that you have as a volunteer here and sort of what you do.
On the first and third Mondays of the month, I do a meeting called Welcome to Wellness, and that's for people that first come here after they call and they want to participate. I go over all the services that we offer and tell them that everything's free so that they know what they can come here for and how they can take advantage of all the services that are offered.
There's more than 150 free programs every month, and we notice in there's a wall that's just got every kind of piece of information. What do you call the wall?
Well, I used to call it the Wall of Knowledge, but it has become the Hall of Knowledge because it's moved past that wall and it's gone into the hallway.
I saw that my kids needed help as well, especially my son, because he was older at the time I was diagnosed. And somebody from here called and said, hey, we're going to start a kids group, kids community for kids therapy. And I said, sign us up because we need it. My kids need it just as much as I do. There was a lot of sadness in the house, a lot of tears, a lot of confusion. Is mommy going to die was the biggest fear. And so coming to the kids club and learning different things, even something as simple as cancer is not contagious. Some kids think it's contagious. That was their first session when they came here. That really helped. I think that because they went through this, a tragedy, and they saw me recover, I think they're going to be stronger now later on in life, and I think they're going to be able to deal with tragic events, stressful situations better. They know now, well, you know what, I'm having these thoughts. I need help, not just physically, but emotionally I need help. And they'll be able to go see a therapist later on in life, or they'll be able to come talk to me about it or talk to a friend. I think that this was really helpful for them for not just dealing with the cancer diagnosis, but with dealing with life in general.
I know, talking to your children about how they handled it all, and they were amazingly resilient. And your daughter said, my mom's a fighter. She teaches kickboxing.
When I found out I had cancer, the nurse who told me said that we should tell my son Cameron because he was 10, but they weren't sure about Sarah. They weren't sure if she was old enough. And when we told my son, he cried, and I said, you know what, I've got my boxing gloves on and I'm going to fight every day. And it helped him. And when I was walking out of his room that night, he had stopped crying and he said, Mom, that cancer doesn't know that you teach kickboxing. So that was a big thing with us, was that I had my boxing gloves on every day. And at breakfast, one of them would ask me, Mom, you got your boxing gloves on today? I got my boxing gloves on, and I still have them on. I still have on my boxing gloves.
I'm now being joined by brother and sister team here. We have Cameron and Sarah. We are here in the kids' room because you guys came here to the kids' community. Talk about when you first came here, like why you were coming here and just sort of the things that how it helped you to come here.
My mom got diagnosed with cancer, and we started getting really depressed. So my mom put us in the care.
For kids watching, how can you help me? What did you think when you first heard this?
Well, I sort of froze, and it was like really awkward because that same day I was thinking about it, and so I was like, yeah, it's pretty hard to get cancer, it's rare, but when you think of it, as soon as you know someone who has cancer, you find so many people who do. The reality that a loved one is possibly gonna die, and so you had to sort of just like keep yourself from going insane. And what I did was I would just go to school, run around, and let everything out, and it really helped.
Talk more about the program, like the things you did here and why you would encourage other kids that might have dealing with cancer and their families to come and be part of the cancer support community. What would you say?
Well, first thing, when we would walk in here, there would be like a table in the back, and then they would say, okay guys, here's what you're gonna do today. And every day it was something different. It was a craft, it was, just relaxing, talking about it, drawing, doing arts and crafts. And the other kids seemed to be really enjoying it.
Like our mom only had stage 1. There are people with like stage 3, stage 4, and who, it was just like, well, it could be worse, it's meeting new people who've had it worse, seeing how bad it is.
I know right now as I'm looking at you, you have pink braces on, which is pink, of course, the color to honor those with breast cancer. And you just had your mom's friend passed, right? That's why you were doing that, to support her?
Yeah, well, I'm a big cancer supporter. Like every week I'll come to school, stand up to cancer. Sometimes I wear pink to school. Everyone's like, you really support breast cancer. I'm like, yeah, well, my mom had it. I know a lot of people who've had it, and when we lost someone who had it, so of course I support it,
We would like not to be so much of a secret, and we're here at the pier and have been in the same building. What we want people to do is just consider coming anytime to try and drop by and see the place. Very often what I hear from people is, oh, I don't need that. Well, I'm not sure what that is, because we offer so many things. Even though we've been here more than 26 years, sometimes we're a best kept secret, which we don't want to be. It's amazing how about 60% of the almost 1,500 people that come to us every year find out about us by word of mouth.
We're so fortunate to have a place like this in the community. So many people don't know we're there, and it's important for me to get the word out and let people know that they have a place to come to when they don't have to face cancer alone, and nobody should have to do that.
They find a sense of community here. They don't feel as alone. They regain a sense of control, and that engenders a lot of hope. And we're pleased to be able to continue doing that.